Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson, and you are watching my walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild for Nintendo Wii U and Switch. In this video I'm going to be tackling one of the Divine Beasts, Vah Naboris. Now of the 4 Divine Beasts, I would definitely say that this has the hardest boss of them all, so for this reason, I would recommend that you save this dungeon for a little later on in your playthrough, or at the very least, don't do this dungeon first, you want to do some of the other ones before this one. If you find that you're struggling with this boss, just know that you can warp away and then play some more of the game and then come back after you're a little bit stronger and try again. The most important thing we're going to need for the boss is definitely going to be shock resistance, which you can get with food buffs or by wearing the rubber armor. Anyway, just check in the description of this video and I'll have links for how to get to Vah Naboris, as well as a rubber set guide which will show you where to get the armor, how to upgrade it, and also where you can farm the ingredients for cooking shock resistance meals instead, if you want to go that route. So our first objective here is to unlock the map. So as soon as you start, run forward and either defeat or run past the Guardian Scout 1, then round the corner to find a malice barrier that you can remove by destroying the nearby eye, or you can just run past it. Now once you're in the large main chamber, just run over to the opposite side and climb up onto the far ramp to reach the map terminal. So as with all of the Divine Beasts, the map will allow us to move various pieces of this dungeon. In this particular case, it will allow us to spin the cylinders that surround the central chamber, and we'll need to do this in order to access all of the other terminals. Before we move on though, there is an optional chest you can grab real quick by hopping down and going out the rear end of the camel. There's a metal chest you can... yeah, sorry. I just couldn't help it. But anyways, use Magnesis on it to swing it back and forth, and then after that, shoot the rope with an arrow when it's swinging towards you to make it land where you can grab it. This particular one contains an ancient core, which is moderately valuable. So next, go to the front side of the main room and climb up the ramp. The farthest forward cylinder should be pointing up by default. And when I say that, I mean the glowing line that is on the map in the bottom right corner of your screen. It should be at the top part of the room. So from this position, we can access the cracked walls on either side. So pick the left side for now and kill the Guardian Scout 1 if you like, or you can just run past it. By the way, shock weapons do really good against Guardian Scouts, and I really like to use that. I'm pretty fond of Thunder Spears myself. So kill it or run past it, and then work your way to the far back left side of the Divine Beast, where there's a chest containing bomb arrows. After you have that, you can return to the main room and go to the right side this time, and break through the cracked wall here to find a chest containing a spring. It's kind of garbage, but you might as well, right? So that'll take care of some optional chests for right now. Our next objective is to get onto the middle platform and take the middle right hole, killing or running past the Guardian Scout 1 here. Moving forward into the next alcove, you can then use your map to rotate the back cylinder, and what this will do is it causes an opening to move and eventually gain us access to this enclosed room, which has the first terminal. So activate it while it's upright, then keep spinning the cylinder while using your map until you can get out the hole on the right side again. The central cylinder also has this glowing power source thing on it, and that's one of the easiest places to gain elevation in this room. So spin the central cylinder until you can climb up on top of the glowing thing, and this will allow you to get to the top of the room. Now from here, if you like, you can quickly gain some more optional chests by moving back onto the back cylinder and then rotate the central one to gain access to the optional chests that are on either side of the central platform. The first chest here contains a royal bow, so replace one of yours if it's better, then kill the nearby eyeball to remove some malice. Anyway, the other chest is on the opposite side of this platform, and if you crawl off the edge here as you are rotating, you should be able to stay on, but if you do happen to fall off, just remember that you can ride the central cylinder by climbing up next to the glowing generator, get back onto the rear cylinder, and then rotate the center one again. The second chest, which is a little bit more awkward to get to in my opinion, contains a shaft, which is honestly kind of terrible. So probably not worth your time overall. I did just want to show how to get it for those of you who are curious about it though. But yeah, I would recommend just skipping this one because shafts are super easy to acquire, so I wouldn't bother with this awkward one. For our next objective, you want to line up all the cylinders so that the glowing lines on our map are lined up at the top. This will send power through the conduits and make the front wall rotate. Just want to climb up the ramp when it's in the right position to enter the hole there. Otherwise, you can also get to an upper platform and then fly into the neck from there. But regardless, either way, the goal is to get inside the neck of the camel. To deal with the lasers here, you can either wait for a good gap and then run for it, or you can use stasis on one of them to neutralize it temporarily, or you can just rotate one of the cylinders using your map, which will stop the flow of power, which will keep the neck from rotating, and thus all the lasers will stand still. So honestly, I'm just too lazy to do all that, but whatever you want to do. So run to the far end, and our objective here is to destroy the eyeball, which will remove some malice that's in the head of the camel, which is just on the opposite side of this wall. We're going to be going there in just a bit, but this is a required step. Next, you want to open the chest to get a royal shield, which is pretty valuable, especially if this is one of your first Divine Beasts, because we don't actually usually see those shields until late game, and royal shields are pretty valuable. So grab this, this, especially if it rolls a good modifier, just an awesome shield. So with the neck malice removed, our next objective is to reach the head. And the easiest way to do this is to hop down into the main room, and as long as you currently have all the cylinders pointing up so that it's powering this wall, so the wall is spinning around, there should be a doorway that's spinning around with it. So get inside of it and then ride it all the way up to the top of the room. Alternatively, you can also ride one of these cylinders to get up and gain elevation, and then power up the wall and wait for the doorway, but I think just using the doorway directly is a lot simpler. So hop down and start spinning this giant gear thing. What would you even call this exactly? It just kind of reminds me of a tire iron. You want to spin this spinny doober. By turning it counterclockwise, it will rotate the right mechanism, and you want to do it until the switch is powered by the conduit. Next, you want to spin it clockwise to do the same thing on the other side until both of these switches are lit up. This will raise the head and gain us access to a powered elevator. So ride that sucker all the way up to the top and activate the terminal here. Just know that if it is currently covered in malice, that's because you did not destroy the eyeball inside the neck with me just a little bit ago. So if that happens to you, what you need to do is rotate the spinny thing down below to lower the neck again, so that at least one of the switches is not activated. Then go back to the main chamber, sail back down into the neck, destroy the eyeball, then come back out here and activate both the switches again to reactivate the elevator and raise the neck so that you can access this terminal. For our next objective, go back to the main room, and there's a couple of different ways to get there, but I'd recommend just waiting for this wall to spin around again. Takes a little while, but at this point, if you can manage to angle and time your jump well, you can just jump to this next platform and access the terminal, but otherwise, if that doesn't work, just hop down and spin the same cylinder until you can get back up there. This next jump right next to it isn't anywhere near as difficult.
There are 2 terminals remaining.
At this point, if you have all the cylinders pointing up so that the roof conduits are all powered, you can just run along the top here to reach the other side. Now, real quick before we move on, you can also paraglide down to get a hidden chest containing a gear. Overall, I don't think this one is worth getting at all, but I did want to show it because it is one of the trickier ones in this dungeon. You can hop down to the next platform, and if you didn't get the swinging chest earlier, you can do so now. To get back up, I think the easiest way is to go back to the front cylinder, spin it all the way around, then run across the top again. Back atop the camel's rump on the upper level, you can use magnesis on these metal objects here to slide them back and forth on these rails. I'm going to slide the upper ones towards the central room and the lower ones away to solve the puzzle. When the conduit is complete, it will raise the rear platform up, and I don't know what this thing's supposed to be. Camel tails are like similar to horses, but shorter? And they're not round like this, so I don't know what this is. You can climb up the nearby ladder wall here if you like, but we can't access the upper levels just yet until we unlock the shortcuts. Instead, what you need to do is go back to those metal conductors and use stasis on one of them. This will temporarily cut the flow of power, which will cause the rear platform to go back to its default position. Run along it to get to the top of the pointy beam end, and then ride it as the power is restored. This gains us access to an eyeball that can be destroyed to remove the malice in this section. In the next room, you want to hop down onto the platform in the center of the room, and then kill the eyeball that's in the corner on this lower floor. This will remove all the malice down here, and it creates a shortcut and destroys the nearby skull spawner. You know, I would have expected these enemies to be called bubbles like they are in other Zelda games, but they're referred to as the cursed variant of the original enemy type. I guess it's because there's multiple skull types, so this one is a cursed moblin, for example. There's 2 smaller platforms that are on either side of this elevator platform that's going up and down, and one of these platforms has a powered electric ball, which is our objective. We need to grab it and throw it off the ledge or use magnesis to toss it down below so we can use it here in a little bit. By the way, just opposite of where the electric ball was, there's a chest you can grab that contains an ancient spring, which is kind of garbage. I think it's kind of a waste of your time, so grab it if you want to. But either way, go back to the mid-level and destroy the nearby eyeball if you haven't already. This will remove the malice on the nearby, elevator thing? It goes side to side. What do you call an elevator that doesn't actually affect elevation? Like, travelators are those conveyor belt things that you stand on that move along, but anyway, climb up the nearby ladder, use the spinning thing here to rotate the lower floor until you can connect the conduit forward, which powers the sideways motion on that non-elevation elevator. With the connection made, you want to run around to the opposite side, open the chest to get a topaz, and then take this moving platform to the other side, either at the mid-level, or you can hop on top of it. I think taking the upper level saves more time overall, but whatever you want to do. The first thing I recommend you do is grab the electric ball, which is on the top floor, and then bring it to the elevator platform. After that, just kill the Guardian Scout 1 that's on the platform itself. If it does manage to get a hit in, then it could knock you off and it could waste some time, so hopefully you don't have to wait for that elevator to come back around again. The nearby terminal is covered in malice. We need to kill the eyeball that is directly below it, then activate the terminal. Hop down to the bottom floor and destroy the eyeball in the corner to create another shortcut, then grab that electric ball, and if you haven't gotten it yet, it's on the top floor and you'll just have to use the elevator to go grab it. We need to power the mechanism that's just above this middle doorway, and you can either use magnesis on the electric ball and then touch it, or you can shoot it with a shock arrow. Either way will work, and they'll open the door on this side. I'm going to kill the 2 Guardian Scout 1s here, and for some reason these enemies were both dropped guardian weapons when they were defeated, but the weapons despawned instantly afterwards. It's kind of weird. Does that happen a lot and I just never noticed? I'm assuming it's because the dungeon is moving that they glitched out. It doesn't look like they're phasing through the floor or anything, though. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Anyways, once both of them are defeated, it will open the door on the other side of this same room, so now we can access both sides. Grab both the electric balls and put them on the nearby circle things. The second ball is the one that we tossed down from that tiny platform next to the elevator earlier, so if you didn't grab that before, you can do so easily now. By the way, alternatively, you could have also magnesticed that ball all the way around the long way and brought them both of them to the same door, and that would also work. Now, you can break this puzzle, just so you know, by using Rivali's Gale in this room to get past the bars, and this will open them from this side. Otherwise, if you step outside, it will close behind you. What they're intending you to do is bring both of the balls, which will remove the bars, so we can access the last terminal.
Well done. That was the last of the terminals. Now, you'll need to start up the main control unit. Take a good look at your map. Head for the glowing mark you see there. You're doing well. But overconfidence can be a deadly foe.
Alright, so next we're returning to the main room to tackle the boss, and as long as we're going there, you can get the butt chest pretty easily. That's right, you heard me. Butt chest. I'm going to go to the backside and then move one of the conduits to lower the big old round platform and sail down and grab this gear if you haven't yet. Then sail down once more and get the swinging chest if you haven't already. Then enter through this orifice right here to return to the main chamber. Alright, final prep for the boss. I think the easiest layout is to have all the conduits pointing down. This gives us the most platforms we can walk on. You want to equip the Master Sword if you have it, definitely best in slot. Your bow doesn't really matter, but bomb arrows are very good here. Shields are actually not bad for this fight, they're pretty good. So you want to use one that's not metal, and it needs to have a pretty high defense rating. So something ideally like a Guardian Shield ++ from a major test of strength would be great. The best armor is definitely the rubber set if you have it, which will give you shock immunity. Otherwise, you can just eat a shock resistance dish. Lastly, you want to chomp down on a hearty meal to give you some extra yellow hearts, and we're good to go. This boss has a lot of really nasty attacks that do 7 hearts of shock damage, and the shock resistance can neutralize that completely, so very important. That's the biggest recommendation I can give you for this. Otherwise, his sword attacks also do 7 hearts of physical damage on top of that, and this means that both of them together do 14 hearts of damage if you have no resistances and no armor, so it's absolutely awful. But it's actually pretty easy to take care of that. The physical portion can only be reduced down to the minimum, which is 1 heart. So we'll always do at least 1 heart of damage, but the rest of that can all be reduced with up to 24 armor. So, for example, one possible combination is wear the rubber set, even at 0 stars, where it has, like, no armor. You can wear that for the shock immunity, and then just eat a tough meal. You can get armored porgies around the seagulls, around cake kales in the bottom right corner of the map, and you fry up 3 of those, and it gives you a 10-minute level 3 food buff, which gives you 24 armor, which is exactly what we need. So that's a possible combination, for example. Pretty easy to accomplish. Doesn't require a lot of effort. Also, one last note, in case you didn't notice, temperature doesn't actually matter inside Vah Naboris, even though we're in the desert, so you don't have to worry about heat or cold at all. The boss's most iconic ability is this teleporting move, where it'll zigzag back and forth towards you, striking you with this lightning-quick melee attack. Now, you can sprint away from it, but you're much better off facing towards him and holding your ground. I think the trickiest part of this, really, is just getting in a good position where you can get into the rhythm of it so that you can time it well. You can shield bash against it, but it's not very effective. Instead, backflipping to flurry rush is the best move by far. However, it might take some practice. This guy's just really fast. Luckily, he does have some pretty blatant visual and audio cues to indicate what he's doing, so you should get the hang of it pretty quick. So flurry rushes are the best. Otherwise, something really easy you can do is just hold still and let him hit your shield on purpose. Immediately after he hits your shield, you want to hit him with something really fast, like a one-hander or a spear. Stasis Plus is just absolutely amazing for this phase because you can stun him to close the distance, or you can use it when he's far away to give you enough time to shoot him. A single bomb arrow will break his shield, which will then cause him to be vulnerable, and you can do that from far away and then run up to him. Ideally, if you can break his shield the normal way, though, then you can use Stasis Plus after he's getting back up to hurt him even more in one cycle, which is just really strong if you can pull it off. He also has these electric orbs that he throws out just like a thunderstorm rod. You want to run away or shield bash them with a non-metal shield. Otherwise, if you have shock immunity, you can actually just stand there and completely ignore them, which means you should totally take advantage of that and shoot him with a bomb arrow instead. He also shoots lasers just like other Blights and Guardians when he either hide behind cover or shield bash to reflect it back at him. Once you get him to half health, he'll move on to the second phase and start using this new attack where he floats up high in the air and summons a bunch of metal spikes that fall all around you. After a little bit, lightning will strike each of them one at a time. The trick here is to use magnesis on one of them and hold it up near him so that he lightning strikes himself. By the way, this boss is invincible for part of this phase, so if you were trying to shoot him with bomb arrows, you might have noticed that it doesn't seem to work. That's because he's invincible while he's summoning spikes, then he's vulnerable while he's calling down lightning, and then he goes back to being invincible after the lightning is done and he's just floating there looking at you. So, if you want to use bomb arrows instead of a spike, you totally can. Just know that it only works during lightning. I know it's kind of weird because he has the same animation when he's summoning both spikes and lightning, so that's why it looks confusing. He has a couple different variants of his melee attacks, but he tends to use these more flourishy spin attack type moves more during second phase. I point this out because some of them can overwhelm your shield if you're just standing there tanking it, so unfortunately that strategy isn't as viable for second phase. So you are better off relying on shield bashes or flurry rushes or stasis plus. During second phase, he'll also charge up his shield and melee weapon with lightning sometimes, meaning that you will zap yourself if you hit his shield with a metal weapon, or if he hits your metal shield. This is why shock immunity is so important for this fight, because that's 7 hearts of damage every single time. Stasis Plus is definitely your friend for this part. Otherwise, you can also drop a bomb and step back and lure him into standing right next to you and then blow him up from behind. So here's an entire battle. You can start it out by using Stasis Plus and a bomb arrow if you want, but otherwise something to note is he often starts out by shooting orbs. Just watch out that they do bounce off the central control mechanism, so if you don't have shock immunity, they could hit you in the back even though you are dodging them. I tried to flurry rush here, it did not work, I didn't time it well enough, but I was able to break his shield very easily by just button mashing on him, and this stunned him down below. Then I used the Stasis Plus I was saving to stun him so that I could do even more damage. I almost got rid of half of his health bar right now, so this almost took me to second phase, but not quite. Usually after his shield is broken like this, he'll shoot a few orbs before he resummons it, and that's also... I actually kind of want him to have a shield because then I can Stasis Plus him and shoot him with a bomb arrow to stun him once more. I guess I should clarify what I mean by that. The bomb arrows are not what's stunning him, it's the fact that we're breaking the shield. You can break the shield with melee weapons or bomb arrows, but I kind of like breaking his shield intentionally with bomb arrows because then it guarantees that he's stunned. So it just gives me, sure, I could do a little bit of damage with bomb arrows just directly on him when he's throwing out balls, for example, but otherwise I can wait until he summons his shield on purpose so that I can stun him so I can do even more damage, just better. Now, as far as the second phase, my biggest recommendation here is just don't panic. Take your time, get in a good position where you can see him really well. The only way you can get damaged at all is just if you are standing close to spikes. But he's not going to come down and melee you. He's actually just going to keep warping around and doing this over and over again. So get in a good position, stay just a little bit away from the spikes, make sure you can see him, and then just pick one up and wait for it to strike him, and boom, you win. Notice here I very quickly switched to Stasis Plus and then attacked him. This broke his shield as soon as he reappeared, which caused him to get stunned so that I can do even more damage, which is just so good. I almost finished second phase right there. It was so close, but so good though, man. It kind of makes me excited that we have a boss in this game that using a shield is the right call. It's just so different than the other bosses, and so I really like that. Just so you know, too, by the way, so we need a shield that's not metal, but also it needs to have enough defense rating to overcome his physical damage. He needs to overcome 7 hearts of damage, which means that in the regular game we need a shield with a defense rating of 28. Otherwise, in Master Mode, you need a defense rating of 32 or higher. So once you've defeated the boss, it will leave behind a heart container, which will increase your life by 1 whole heart.
Awesome!
Now, if you somehow neglected to grab it, though, don't worry, because you can still get it by warping back to the dungeon. You can't actually re-enter Vah Naboris again after you completed it. However, the heart container can be found on a rock just outside. So, if you didn't manage to get it the first time, don't worry about it, you can still come back afterwards. After collecting that, interact with the main control terminal and enjoy this following cinematic with our friendly Gerudo spirit, Urbosa.
I knew you wouldn't let us down, Link. Thanks to your valor and skill, my soul is free, and Naboris is ours once again. Which means that finally, we can complete what we started years ago. We Gerudo have no tolerance for unfinished business. I've waited so long for the moment to see you finally rush Hyrule Castle. As well as for the moment when I incinerate Ganon into a pile of ash. Which reminds me, I wanted to give you a little something. Please accept this gift, which has come to be known as Urbosa's Fury. It will no doubt be of use to you. Both you and the princess, I know you have suffered much regarding what happened to us champions. But this is how things had to happen. No one need carry blame. So please, make it clear so she understands that. Tell her to shed any worries. And let her know I couldn't be more proud of her. You take good care of the princess. Oh, and also, take good care of Hyrule. Naboris, Legend of the Gerudo, celebrated over ages. And you, who were named to honor her. You are a legend as well. Isn't that right, Naboris? The bitter essence of defeat from a century ago still sits upon my tongue. But that is now in the past. It was written that Calamity Ganon once adopted the form of a Gerudo. And that will make this victory all the more satisfying. I like that. Now I can take this personally. Once we've established a lock on that thing, it will be up to Link to keep Ganon occupied until the moment we unleash our strike. That moment is going to be so delicious.
After completing each Divine Beast, you will get a power related to that champion. In this case, we learned Urbosa's Fury. To use it, you simply hold the attack button, and shortly after you start charging your heavy attack, you'll also unleash this ability at the same time, which shocks all the enemies in a large radius around you. I personally dislike using it on accident, so you can disable it temporarily in the menu until you're ready for it, so that you only use it when you actually mean to, rather than it constantly being on cooldown when you want it. Anyways, when you're done messing around here, you can return to the Gerudo Chief Riju to update her on the Divine Beast and get our reward.
Phew.
So, both of these are just kind of pretty nice, but not amazing. Use them if you want to. Between the two, though, I definitely think the shield is pretty good, especially early game. Late game, though, farming royal shields is totally the way to go, so it kind of makes this obsolete. Anyway, I like to throw the sword on the wall in my house in Tino, just so I don't accidentally break it, and for the immense sense of accomplishment of having them all in a row, you know? Oh yeah. As always, huge thanks goes to all of my Patreon supporters for helping to make this possible. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, be sure to throw a like on it, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content just like this. Remember to stay awesome, you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.